Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your federal member of Conservative Parliament for the preceded meteor shower fan riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. As election speculation heats up this summer, the government of Canada is using your tax dollars to run campaign-style ads. Trudeau is using these ads to push his anti-law abiding citizen agenda. This is the same Trudeau who changed the Election Act to ban political advertising right before an election. That's right. The Conservatives, NDP, Bloc, and every other political party have legal limits on what we can spend on advertising before an election. There are no limits on government advertising, though. When Trudeau first introduced his pre-election ad ban, Conservatives warned this would happen. The Liberals are using your tax dollars to blast out Liberal ads while other parties rely on donations and are limited on what to legally spend. In the ads, the Liberals claim they're making Canada safer by cracking down on lawful firearms owners instead of gun runners and thugs. Since Trudeau was elected, gang violence has actually increased substantially. Speaking of cracking down on firearms owners, recently the RCMP sent letters to lawful firearms owners to update us on the conditions of our firearms licenses. Now, before Trudeau's last anti-firearm owner law was passed, if you owned a restricted firearm, restrictions on where firearms could be transported to were in place. Typically, restricted firearms licenses granted us permission to transport our firearms to the range, to a gunsmith, or to a police station. To transport it elsewhere required permission from the chief firearms officer in our provinces. Trudeau has removed most of those permissions. This means in order to transport a firearm out of the country to a gun show, to a gunsmith, or even turn it into the police, an owner must call the chief firearms officer and apply for an authorization to transport. Remember, just before Parliament rose in June, the Liberals introduced legislation to set up their so-called buyback program. Their idea behind the program is to have all firearms owners turn in firearms to the government that the Liberals just prohibited. With its left hand, the government is demanding we bring in our firearms, while the other left hand tells us that we can no longer transport our firearms. That's the Trudeau brain trust at work. Before they even had a law in place to run a prohibited firearms purchasing program, a so-called buyback program, costs were already set to spiral out of control. Even Canadians who don't own firearms were upset about the runaway cost of the long gun registry. Wait till they see the bill for this buyback program. Even calling it a buyback is a lie. Who bought firearms from the RCMP in the first place? The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates the cost for compensation to be as high as $700 million. That's just the compensation cost. The cost to run the actual program will push the price tag into the billions of dollars. And that's before we add in the extra cost of requiring firearms owners to apply for special firearms transportation certificates. The Liberals will shovel out hundreds of millions of dollars to firearms owners like us while doing nothing to stop kids in Toronto from being shot. And whether you own a firearm or not, we'll all be paying a high price while not being made any safer. Wouldn't that money be better in your pocket than shot on another bureaucracy? Last year, I asked the Trudeau Liberals why they'd given a contract to We Charity during the last election. The minister promised she'd get back to me with an answer. She never did. Fortunately, the procurement ombudsman looked into the matter and found the government regularly broke the rules when it came to contracting We Charity. Along with the contract during the last election, the federal government gave We Charity 3 additional untendered contracts. The ombudsman actually discovered the government contacted We Charity before coming up with the costs. They gave We Charity an insider advantage. They even rewrote contracts after the fact to pay out more money to their friends. Along with the election-timed contract, We Charity also received a contract from the Federal Leaders Debate Commission. This was the debate commission Trudeau created and for which Trudeau handpicked the members of the commission. Can you guess who Trudeau named to the debate commission? I'll give you a hint. His brother's name is Mark Kielburger. That's right. Trudeau appointed Craig Kielburger to the Federal Leaders Debate Commission. Now, the commission contracted We Charity. Taxpayer money flows to We Charity. We Charity hired the Liberal Trudeau family members, and really, that is the circle of Liberal life. Taxpayer money flows out the door, and after a few stops, finds its way back to the Liberals. Just watch. This blatant corruption will be ignored by most of the media because, just like We Charity, the media live off Liberal handouts of your tax dollars. That's why we all need to help spread the word. Please like it and share this video with your friends and family. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant, wishing you a good night.